I plan to ASAP on this Tuesday morning Eastern Daylight Time. Release a long video on goaltending of Canada's NHL teams. I'm gonna go into tiers of those same teams. So that's from Nathan Grove. So now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do in terms of tiers in terms of Stanley Cup contenders, otherwise strong playoff teams, and potential playoff teams. So I'll start off with Stanley Cup contender. I can only think of one team among the Canadian ones that I could see as Stanley Cup contender: the Oilers. I do note, however, very interesting episode of Locked On Oilers podcast or Locked On Sports Series podcast, but a claim being by Nick Zararis, the main host of that perhaps the Oilers roster had gotten a little bit too old to be considered Stanley Cup contenders for much longer. Definitely look forward to watching that episode to find out a little bit more. And to what extent I agree, if anything. In terms of strong playoff teams, in other words, those I consider likeliest to finish in top three divisional spots. Going from west to east, I see those teams as the Jets and Leafs. I've yet to consider either of those teams Stanley Cup contenders. Yes, Winnipeg Jets did make it to a 2018 conference final, but it's been oh so long since then. And 2025 postseason, well, the Jets did come close to winning Game 6. Could have very well extended that series to a 7th game, but, well, it didn't happen. Scoring just wasn't there. So I consider the Jets and Leafs. And the Leafs had, well, had their own issues with scoring on the postseason. So, yes, I consider the Jets and Leafs as strong playoff teams, but Stanley Cup contenders a little bit beyond that tier. In terms of the other Canadian teams going from west to east, I count the Canucks, Flames, Sens, and Habs. I believe that any of those teams that ends up qualifying for this coming postseason will do so via a wildcard spot. But who knows how many of them will. I predict at least one of those teams is going to not qualify for this coming postseason. To be determined of those teams, which one or ones qualify and which one or ones don't.